This is the Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey, and with free agency underway, the Cowboys haven't actually signed an outside free agent at this point, but they have been busy and active. We're going to break down the top free agents left for the Dallas Cowboys, beginning with some players who were Cowboys last year that they could still bring back and re-sign. Johnathan Hankins, next up here, the defensive tackle, a run stopper. I believe the Cowboys want to bring him back. It might just have to be a little bit more patience required for that spot. But I would be a bit surprised, frankly, if Hankins wasn't back in Big D. His running mate, Carlos Watkins, who was a practice squad guy to begin the year, but always stepped up when the Cowboys needed him to as a rotational player. I could see him back at the back end of a one-year deal, not much guaranteed money, just like he was previously. Dallas might also hunt for a bigger fish along the defensive line. Aviante Collins, next up here, the offensive lineman guard tackle hybrid. I think it surpassed Josh Ball down the stretch last year. Should be pretty cheap. Would not be surprised if he is back. T.Y. Hilton is next up here for the Dallas Cowboys. The receiver, could come back. He made the 4th and 33, whatever it was, an all-time play, 3rd and 33. Made some nice third down catches as well, but at his age, I'm not sure how much he wants to play. If he does, cheap one-year deal to be your wide receiver 4-ish, I think could make some sense. Last of the internal players, that is Jason Peters, the offensive tackle who got some guard run there. I think his veteran presence was welcome. I also don't know how much interest exactly there's going to be at his age to continuing to play football and to come back in Dallas. If he does come back, it's going to be a very cheap one-year deal. All right, this will be the pinned comment on today's video. Name a player you want to sign or re-sign. You know, we're a weekend, so any player not under contract, who do you want to bring or bring back to Dallas? It is the pinned comment, like I mentioned, on today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, cool. Take advantage of that ad break. Head down to the pinned comment and let me know a player you want to re-sign or sign straight up in NFL free agency. Bobby Wagner, I think that's going to be a very popular name with that pinned comment here. Still unsigned. The longer he goes without interest makes me think there is a chance at least. The money is what matters here. Dallas will not pay big money to another off-ball linebacker. That's not what they want to do business. They got Van Der Esch, by the way, very cheaply. Longer he goes, maybe a Dan Quinn reunion does still make some sense. But the likelihood all depends on the money. Have to mention Odell Beckham. I'm sorry. I do not think he is a Cowboy. I would be, frankly, surprised in the event that Odell Beckham signs this offseason. I think he wants more money, a bigger deal, and just more playing time than what he'd be able to find in Dallas. Let's hit some fatties here. Poona Ford, first up on the list here. He's 5'11", 310. I think he kind of played out of scheme a little bit last year for Seattle. Wasn't as good against the run. Has been a strong run defender in the past. Does offer some pass rush value. Of all the defensive linemen out there, whether with or without Hankins, I would have the most interest in Poona Ford. I think he'd be a great addition on a 1 or 2 year deal for the Cowboys. Come back to the state of Texas there, Poona. Plus, elite name. A'Shawn Robinson, who has a visit with the Giants set up, by the way. His production has begun to decline a little bit. Not the guy he was at his prime with the Lions, but he's 6'4", 330. If you're looking for the run stopper, Robinson does still help you in that area. Matt Ioannidis, the former Commander and Panther, his numbers have also significantly dipped in recent years. He's got some of that 5-tech, 3-tech flexibility the Cowboys have always liked in that kind of sort of Tyrone Crawford mold. To an extent, should be a nice buy low option for 1 year. Shelby Harris, next up here, the Seahawks/Denver defensive lineman in recent memory there. Cowboys had kind of briefly been linked to him, and then they got traded to Seattle in the end. Seahawks cut him to make a move for Draymond Jones, not the same guy he was in his prime. Again, it'd be a cheap 1 year veteran type. Now, Micah Parsons has spent some time recruiting Calais Campbell on social media. His numbers bumped back up this past year to 5.5 sacks. He's not what he was in 2019. He is older, but he brings you the length and size I think Dan Quinn would covet. He's going to play for a contender only. dark horse name there for the Dallas Cowboys. Akeem Hicks, who is a definition of a fat, he's listed at 352, did not have the best year for Tampa, had begun to decline in Chicago. I'm not sure how much more he has left in the tank. So how many more players will the Dallas Cowboys end up signing? Let me know in the comments section. My over-under, 4.5. But you guys get your predictions in there for me in the comment section right now. Let's hit some defensive ends, if maybe Fowler and or additional help is what you want there. Floyd got cut by the Rams. I was a bit surprised that was the choice they made. 9 sacks, 10 TFLs. He has been a consistent, basically 9-sack guy for the Los Angeles Rams. If he wants to play cheaply, it's got to be a cheap deal for all of these edge rushers. Floyd does make some sense. Johnathan Clowney, next up. I am actually out on Clowney. Had a good 2021, not a good 2022, and then before the year ended, was venting about how, publicly to media, the Browns aren't trying to win games. They're trying to get Myles Garrett sacks. What they're doing is putting Myles Garrett in better matchups because that's what smart teams do. Dan Quinn does it with Micah Parsons. I'm out on Clowney for his anti-team focused comments. Frank Clark, a.k.a. Frank, I'm only good in the playoffs, Clark. The numbers have dipped, but he's still a good playoff pass rusher. This could be your buy low, 1 year, $3.5, $4 million deal if he wants to take that, and then allow him to cash in next offseason and get a comp pick. How about Yannick Ngakoue, who has always been an 8-sack guy, and you're going, why is the 8-sack guy unsigned? He's not a very good run defender. That is important to always remember. And I think you want some big money, and his pressure numbers have dipped. The decline has kind of begun to set in for Yannick in terms of his overall production, but I still wouldn't rule him out. And I think his ideal fit is a place like Dallas. Don't put him out there on rundowns, put him out there on passing downs. Let the man feast. When the Cowboys make moves, we will keep you guys covered. We'll do videos / go live for these signings, so don't miss out. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Free videos every single day, sometimes multiple times per day, right here on the Cowboys Report. Bud Dupree, next up on our list. He has battled injuries in recent years, has really hurt his draft stock, or his free agency stock. Wrong time of the year there, Tom. But as again, buy low candidate, I have interest there. How about Carlos Dunlap, who you were kind of briefly linked to at one point? Bengals and Seahawks. Still a decent run defender, actually. Again, decline is there for Dunlap. This is your cheap Dante Fowler / fifth edge, whatever you want it to be. How about a Cowboys legend? Robert Quinn, next up on our list. Every other year, Robert Quinn is good, and then he's not good. So time it up correctly. Get him for a year. Just give him 1 year, $2 million. Whatever it is, and then say, bye, Robert. He'll cash in, and you get a comp pick again. You could have played that really well. So what you do with Quinn initially? Traded him for next nothing, got a big comp pick back. Maybe you bring him back on the cheap because he wasn't very good last season. Offensive line time. How about Isaiah Wynn? He kind of fell out of favor in New England, but he offers you some tackle on both sides, some guards flexibility there. So if he's willing to be your super sub 6th offensive lineman, I have a lot of interest in him. Donovan Smith was recently cut by the Bucs because he was bad. He is a former starting left tackle. That makes him worth mentioning since it's tough to trust Tyron Smith. I think the decline is already there, though, for Donovan Smith. Another Cowboys legend, Cam Fleming. There you go. Didn't have a great year for Denver on the right side, but if you want a swing tackle, Fleming does start to make some sense there. To Denver, again, Dalton Reisner. I am surprised he is unsigned. The numbers were not great. He had a bit of a down year. I think Denver just being a dumpster fire in general on offense was a significant factor in that problem. But if you want to go get a starting left guard, Dalton Reisner is one of the last ones out there. Kareem Hunt, next up, had a really big drop-off of a year. He was not the same player this season. And given his age, with how long he's been in the NFL, I am concerned that Hunt's best days are now behind him. Playoff Lenny, was bad this year. Now, we can blame the Bucs offensive line. That is fair. But the Cowboys just got rid of one of a not great run-producing back. Does still offer some pass-catching value, but his numbers really dropped off this year. I'm not that interested. I prefer just to draft a back in the end. Of the positions left for the Cowboys, what is the biggest need still remaining for this organization? Sound off for me in the comments section right now. Want to mention one other tight end, beyond Dalton Schultz. Austin Hooper, if you want to go with the veteran guy, can be that player. I've often comped Dalton Schultz to Austin Hooper, and you can see 2019, not that different than what we got the past couple of years from Schultz there, but fell off in Cleveland. Wasn't that good with the Titans. Was kind of just a bit role player there. Cheap tight end depth, sure. Beyond that, I'm not so sure there. I put a kicker on here for you. The good kicker available in free agency, Robbie Gould, who did miss more field goals in the regular season than Brett Maher did. He has been a long-time good kicker. I don't know what the market looks like for him. You can sign a kicker. Don't make it that expensive because they're very replaceable. I mean, you found Brett Maher off the streets again last year. He's infinitely better than Greg Zuerlein was. Have competition. Don't commit yourself to multiple years to a kicker. That's how you get yourself in trouble.